Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it. You already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get to this intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, why don't you go ahead and do that? Put the notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I respect everyone that does it, man. Thank you. I'm very humbled by all your support. So this Stockton mass shooting thing just keeps taking more twists and turns. And it's like giving stories piggyback rides. It's different. Now, I already know what's different out in Stockton. If you've ever been to the city of Stockton or you know about Stockton, you could tell by now, man, there's grimy situations giving grimy situations hand jobs. It's different out there, right? You don't fuck with Stockton because Stockton don't fuck with you. And that's just a fact, man. Central Valley living, the 209 living has always been different, man. And it seems like the crime, the gang banging, everything is elevated to the highest degree right now. People are saying things are watered down. No, they're not. They're getting tricky dance moves. It's really getting crazy out there in Stockton. And there was a shooting and a killing last night. Last night, an individual that goes by the name of Manos from a barrio in Stockton, a Norteno, was murdered last night. He was shot with other people, and it looked like a typical shooting, something that happens every day. Gang banging gone wrong, someone seen the op, or there was a discussion or an argument, and boom, voila, you got someone with bullets in their body. In Stockton, it's an everyday thing. It be like that sometimes, right? But here's the cold twist. The individual who was murdered last night in cold blood is actually an individual who was present at that little girl's birthday party when the Stockton mass shooting happened. Now, is it related? Was definitely related by, of course, this man being shot. Excuse me, I had a quick phone call. Now we're resuming, right? So the whole Stockton thing, man, you know, when I first seen that the shooting happened Sunday night, I didn't put two and two together. Did not put two and two together. Didn't realize that this individual was actually someone that was at that birthday party. Now, is it related? It could possibly be related. It could possibly be a situation where, you know, this was one of the individuals that was a target, or people are feeling some type of way, or they fear retaliation. At the end of the day, man, you can't put it past anything in Stockton, man. Stockton is on its own different politics, its own different level, right? And this could just be something just something that happened. You know, when you're gangbanging, it's to be expected. You know, shootings, killings, murders happens all the time. That's what you sign up for. That's part of the game, especially in a grimy place like Stockton, where it's become normalized. That's the cool part about it. That's why there's a lot of people in that community that are scared, there's like an uprising in the community of leaders and people that are saying enough is enough. They're putting their foot down. They're tired of the gangbanging. They're tired of the drugs. They're tired of the, you know, everything that's going on with these women that are out there in the streets, selling their bodies and just different things that are happening. Now, this happens in every city. Don't single out Stockton like Stockton's the only ones that got it going on, but they're just in national news right now because of that shooting and how horrific it was. Let's not forget, 4 people lost their lives, 3 kids and a 21-year-old, and several others were shot. Other kids were shot. Other people were shot. And these families are still in mourning. And obviously the feds, the investigators, the gang task force, everyone who's looking into the situation have not come up with anything because they kind of like moved on. I'm not going to say that they're never going to catch the people who did it because I'm sure they are. And I'm actually hoping that they do, because at the end of the day, man, people that are willing to kill kids or shoot into an area where kids are at, they don't need to be running around. They're a danger and a menace to society. And that's just the truth. Look, I'm not about getting people locked up or seeing people locked up, but anyone who hurts a child deserve everything that they get in a bad way. And that's just the truth of it. That's the facts, right? So this guy being killed, man, is this a situation that's connected? It's definitely connected that he was at that party. That's a fact. His name is Manos. He was there. So, you know, I heard people throw around Nortenos. Let's talk about the Hoodstock situation. The chick loca didn't really do her homework and was immediately saying that the Norteños were involved. I think she heard that there was a Norteño that was killed at that party, allegedly, an alleged Norteño. And from that point on, she kind of ran with the narrative or whatever that Norteños were involved. They were involved to a certain degree as far as being one of them being a victim. And now you have two Norteños that are dead, right? One at the party and one outside of the party. Is this a situation where they're just involved with the wrong people? Or is this situation that happened on Sunday night totally irrelevant to what happened at that party? I don't know. But it seems like people that were involved there are either in hiding, staying low, having their muzzle on, or getting killed. You know, like I said, it raises the question of what's really going on in Stockton. Is there a very big gang battle going on, man, that's actually really just tearing the streets up? Well, I could tell you guys right now, the Central Valley's been like that. It's been heat. It's been hot, right? Every city in California got a little bit of thug in them. Everybody does, right? So killings and shootings are nothing new. They're normal, and they've become normalized, and people are used to it. But I thought it would just be a good story to put out because it's a cool twist on what quite possibly might be some underlying issues because of that shooting. Now, it's not like a retaliation thing. This guy was actually at the party. Maybe he was one of the individuals that busted back. Maybe he was one of the targets. Maybe these people are not going to quit. They're relentless in their pursuit of ending these people's lives. And it seems that way because his life was ended Sunday night. Okay. And like I said, whether it was related to that party incident or not, we'll never know. Only those that were involved in the shooting and those that got killed know. Right. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure these things out. You know, I remember in about 2006 in my city, you know, the streets were hot, very hot every night. You know, I lived in a smaller city in Merced, and 2006, 2007 was nuts, right? I actually caught a case and ended up going to prison for 4 years up out of the situations, but it was shootings every night. There was people getting smacked. I mean, it was crazy to be out there running around the streets at that time. You had to really be on your shit, And I remember listening at night and telling the homies, watch. It's only a matter of time. We'd be kicking back in the front yard, drinking at one of the homies' house or whatever we were into. And you could hear pop, 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 pop on the other side of town, like they're letting loose. Again, I live in a smaller city, so when shots rang out, everyone hears it. And I remember the only thought in my mind was it the homies that got off, or did they get off on the homies? Because at that time there was a lot of red on red going on, and even more so than that, there was a lot of dropout active shit going on. That's what was heating up. You had a lot of guys that had dropped out of prison. At that time, I was an active gang member. I was all in the mix, right? You had a lot of guys that were getting out of prison that were bringing the dropout gangs and bringing them type of activities to the streets. And active Norteños weren't having it, and people weren't having it, right? So there was a lot of guerra. There was a lot of war going on, a lot of back and forth. And at the end of the day, people were getting killed that looked just like you. It was a lot of people. And then you had my neighborhood going at it with the Crips, the Merced Gangster Crips. There was just a lot going on at that particular time. And then Operation, I think it was Operation Valley Star happened right after that. And a lot of active Norteños got incarcerated and got caught up. And it was just a lot going on. I remember at that particular time, I ended up catching a case because in my mind at that time, I was so super active in my ways of thinking. My whole goal and position and what I was doing was to get off on dropouts. It's crazy how that works out, right? It's crazy how the tide turns and how the other side of the coin gets revealed. But at that time, I was all in the mix thinking, okay, anyone who's pushing that non-active stuff or anyone who comes out, we got to get them on site, green light, right? Wasn't tripping off no Southsiders, wasn't tripping off no other Norteños, wasn't tripping off no Crips. Myself, my whole goal was pursuing these guys who I consider degenerates and were poisoning the people. And this is the mentality I had that was being taught to me by OGs and dudes that were really doing prison time and wheelhouse I was reading. And because I was running around with the regiment and doing what I was doing at that time, I was taking the initiative to push that line. And I was telling all the younger homeboys, this is what it is. Don't focus on none of the Southsiders. Don't focus on A-Town. Don't focus on none of these cats. We need to focus on eradicating these misfits and these poisonous degenerates that are coming into the city and acting some type of way. Little did I know, these dudes weren't even pushing the issue. We were making the issue, right? There was one particular individual at that time that did push an issue. He was manipulating. The last thing I hate is manipulators. You know, people that don't reveal their position in life. There's a lot of dudes that go to prison and fall off, right? For whatever reason, whether it's a righteous reason they want to change their life, or they go into prison and they got bad charges, or something bad happens, or they get fucking politicked out the game, or dirty macked, or whatever. Whatever is whatever, right? People don't jump to conclusions and think everyone on the other side is a piece of shit. There's a lot of people that could have fucking politicked on them and got them out the way because they were They wanted that play. They wanted that position, right? And so I never judged anyone like that. I just understood if you weren't with me, you were against me, and these dudes posed a threat. And their whole get down was not living a righteous life. They were out there pushing dropout gangs and things of that nature. So there was a dude, and I hated that. Those were the worst people, the people that didn't tell you who they were. They tried to still blend in and act like they were still active and play games, right? And blend in with the homies. And I didn't like it. This particular individual was doing that. And when it came to light that he was no good, I, myself, and other people made it a fact to get rid of this dude. Not kill him or nothing, but he had to go. We didn't want him around, right? And you can take that however you want to take it. I ran into him at a club that I frequented a lot, and seen him and got off where I was mad at. He immediately went to the police station, gave up the ghost, and I was on the run. And I went all the way to Juarez, Mexico, and I was up in Oxnard, and I was up in fucking Ventura, and I was up in the 805 area running around with the homeboys out there that I had. And I just was on the run. Ended up ultimately coming back home because I had nowhere else to go and got caught. Did my time. And then I got into my issues when I went to prison, and it is what it was, right? And I could tell you right now, man, probably the best thing that happened in life was me deciding at that point to hold it down for what my true beliefs, and then being recognized as a non-factor anymore. You're out of the game. Cool. Right? Because then my priorities shifted. I went from focusing on gangs and dropouts and all that to focusing on family and my children and things that I needed to take care of in life to be successful. And voila, bang, bang, the gun's here. So I've lived that life. I understand what it takes and what's going on. Now, I'm not saying the dropout active shit has anything to do with the Stockton things. This seems like more of an internet battle, more of words that are spoken, rap music, and just a gang of twists and turns, just gang banging, period. However they do it nowadays, right? People are dying. You know, whether or not this individual who got killed, Manos, on Sunday is a part of that situation will be revealed, I'm sure, eventually. And those that need to know. I just thought it was cold that this dude was at that party and ended up getting smoked, right? Stockton's not playing, you know, and Stockton is not saying anything. You know, I was for sure 100% that this whole case would have been figured out by now, that the feds being involved, the gang task force, the cops would have already revealed the suspects, or that they were on the trail of the suspects, but nothing yet, right? And it's been going on for about a month now. You know, I feel for the parents who lost their children, and I understand they want justice, but what kind of justice is there really? You know, we're talking about people that are going to get incarcerated and took off the streets for the rest of their life, but you don't get your children back. See, when people complain like, I want justice, they don't want justice. They want vengeance. They want to see them people suffer because they're suffering, and their children and their people are suffering. And that's just a fact. There really is no justice in life. If you lose a loved one, you can never have them back. There's no amount of justice in the world that's going to bring them back. I understand as a society, these people need to be taken off the streets because we don't want to see more victimization. We don't want to see more victims. But you'll never have justice. You'll never sleep the same again. You'll never breathe or eat the same again. You know what I'm saying? You'll never sit at the table and see your loved one, your child, your friend again. So there is no justice. There's just us, right? And with that being said, it's all about vengeance, an eye for an eye. That's what people want to see. But it doesn't seem like that's happening in this situation. It seems like whoever's doing these killings, man, they're just compiling more bodies on bodies. They got bodies giving bodies piggyback rides. It's a trip. I'm just saying, right? Anyways, so to recap everything, on Sunday night, there was an individual who was killed who was actually at that birthday party. And again, I don't know if it's related, but I know it's related as to the fact that he was there. You know, Stockton is pretty notorious for shootings. You know, right after that shooting happened at that birthday party, there was that YouTuber that went viral who was killed. And, you know, when I did my video, I was aware of who she was. She went famous. She was from my area, right? She went famous for driving on a live and getting into a wreck and her sister dying and her like acting like it was no big deal. And from there, I heard she lived a hard life. She stood in the mix. You know, she didn't learn her lesson. She got chicken shit time, went and did her time, got out, and just kept pushing the narrative of being out there in the streets and being in that criminal lifestyle. And eventually, after a while, if you keep continuing to live that lifestyle, you're going to get a whole lot of anguish. And that's exactly what she got. She's no longer here. That happened in Stockton immediately after the shooting. Kind of took a little bit of the limelight off of the Stockton killing. And now you have this, right? And someone got at me and they were like, hey, I know this dude is kind of related. I'm like, hey, bro, I don't know nothing about what you're talking about. I know that he was at that party. If you say he was at that party, and it is what it is, and it's unfortunate that his family has to bury him now. But Stockton's hot right now, man. Definitely. And that doesn't mean the whole city of Stockton is bad. Don't get it twisted, man. I had someone get at me. They were on my head. They were like, oh, man, you're making Stockton look bad. I'm not making Stockton look bad. I'm making Stockton look real. I'm just telling you how it is, man. You know what I'm saying? There was always a thing. I was always invited, let's go to Stockton. Fuck no. Ain't nothing over there but meth, smoke, and shooting, bro. Gang banging. I'm cool. Even though I was a gang member, I was an active gang member to the highest degree, doing what I was doing, and still didn't want to go to Stockton. Because they move different out there. If you're not from there, man, they had different politics. And this was around the time the Nortenos and the Playboys was really going at it. Because, yes, there was Southsiders in Stockton once upon a time. There was two groups, Vickystown and Playboys. And them Playboys, Sureños out there was really with them activities, man. And there ain't a motherfucker in Stockton that can't say that they wasn't, because they were. I don't know if they're still out there functioning like they used to, but I done had a couple run-ins with them and myself, right? One dude in particular was from Stockton Playboys. We were in Tracy together. And we were both 50-50 yard. That was it. It was over. He hung up the boots. I hung up the boots. But there was this Northern Rider who kept disrespecting him because this dude had the suit on him and devil horns and all that. And even though he wasn't gangbanging, he still was feeling the disrespect coming from this individual. Man, I watched this man stuff his door, stuff the lock. When they were escorting this dude, this rider down the tier, right? This motherfucker came out with the biggest fucking sword I ever seen in prison and got to doing his thing. All the way up and down that tier, right? So, man, them dudes out of Stockton, man, north or south or anyone, black, brothers, whoever, Asians, they're with the activities. They're definitely raised different. They're raised, it's kind of like a person that's raised in East LA or Compton. They take on that city's aura, that culture, that gangbanging. Like it's not that they're harder than everyone, but they have to be. They have to be willing to go out there and understand that they're in a war zone. That's just what it is. Anyways, like I said, man, this individual models, this Norteno, was killed last night in the city of Stockton. Was it related to the shooting? We do know that he was at that party. He was there present. Is this something where they doubled back on him and got him? Or is it something totally unrelated? I guess we'll never find out, or maybe we will. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down? See, Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. I want to say this, man. A shout out to everyone who's been supporting. You know what I'm saying? The hate has been giving hate piggyback rides. It seems like the hate squad, man, is really doing their thug thizzle right now. They're really doing their thing to try to tear me and mines up. Ain't never going to happen, right? A liar will always expire, and that's just the truth, right? I've still been here doing my thing. You know, I don't know where all this hatred stems from. I understand, man, success breeds envy, and I'm going to continue to be successful, and they're going to continue to be envious. I do want to say, for those that are participating in the shenanigans, misdirecting your hate that you have towards me, I'm going to go ahead and wear that. If you want to hate me. But when you're harassing women and children and doing that types of things, man, that's a really degenerate quality. You know what I'm saying? That's not man shit. That's weird shit. So I just want to throw that out there, man. With that being said, I hope you guys have a productive day. Let's do what we does, man. And the shit don't stop. You know what I'm saying? The shit don't stop. This video is sponsored by Vario Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're ever in the area, man, go in there and get you something cold to drink. Also by Sticks and Stones Landscaping out there in Arizona, man. Google them, look them up, man, and tap in and get your shit hooked up. He got you. Bang, bang.